Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we are doing more Pars reactions, and hopefully we can get into llamas with tats today as well, but I'm not sure if we'll have time for that. Okay, without further ado, let's get started.
Australia's scariest spider is hiding a deep secret. But what is it? Well, introducing the huntsman, native to the land down under, and the #1 cause of tourists absolutely shitting themselves on camera. And look, in defense of said tourists, I will be the first to admit, yeah, this looks scarier than a f***ing job application. Those gangly ass legs and the hair make him look like Slender Man's testicle. Now, as if having a negative charisma stat wasn't bad enough, I regret to inform you that the huntsman spider grows up to 30 f***ing centimeters in size, making it the largest spider on the planet by leg span and legally allowing Subway to market him as a foot long. Now, being the spider equivalent of a Ford F-150, you'd think he'd have the common decency to be slow, you know, tank build. Unfortunately, the huntsman is f***ing turbocharged. Now, it's usually at this point in the video that I would inform you that he is also highly venomous, because it's Australia. However, that's his big secret. The huntsman is a big sweetheart. You see, despite looking like an SCP, huntsmen are incredibly timid, and on the rare occasion they do bite, their venom is harmless. In fact, seeing one of these bad boys in your house is a blessing in disguise, because if you see a huntsman in your home, I guarantee you won't see any annoying ass flies or mosquitoes, because he's eaten them. You see, he understands he's big enough that he should be paying rent, and so he contributes to the household in pest control. I personally have had one of these bad boys as an 8-legged roommate, and I can tell you, they're pretty good company. Ooh. Except for the part where they cause car crashes. Oh. Yeah, you see, huntsmen like to hide in tight spaces and cracks, and they do it by flattening out their body to fit into the gap. Now, in the house, that usually means you'll just find them behind a painting, but when you're flying down the highway at 110k an hour and decide to flip down the sun visor because God is trying to flashbang you, yeah, they like to sleep in there and you've just dropped one into your lap. Now, whatever you do, don't panic or you're gonna crash the... Australia's...
Okay, let's see what's next. Oh, 3 new videos. Oh God, the groundhog tape.
People hate this groundhog, but why?
I'm like, what is it me for?
Well, because this is no ordinary hog. This distinguished gentleman is Punxsutawney Phil, a resident of the US of A, specifically the town of Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, where he has a very important job. He predicts the weather. And he does it through the Groundhog Day ceremony. But what the f*** is that? Well, basically, every year on the 2nd of February, crowds gather at the Gobbler's Knob. Stop laughing. It's a very serious ceremony. Quit it. And then, at dawn, the unbelievably dripped out inner circle of the Groundhog Club retrieve the allegedly 140-year-old Phil from his knob. Phil then selects a scroll from the tip of the knob based on whether or not he saw his shadow when being yanked from his home. And if he did see his shadow, winter will last for 6 more weeks. And this year, Phil has predicted 6 more weeks of Mayolt. And for some reason, this year, that prediction has royally pissed off many people online.
To be fair, if you knew just how bad this winter was so far, yeah, it's understandable why some people would be mad about that. Because where I live, and currently it's still winter. Yeah, we got like 9 inches of snow where we live, and it got down to -17 once. Yeah, I can kind of see why people hate this groundhog at this point.
See, I just think he's doing his fucking job. But the tweet that shared his prediction has some of the most angry yet fucking hilarious responses. And I made this video to read you the best of them. Turn him into a steak. That groundhog is going in the microwave. If I saw Punxsutawney Phil, I would punt him like a football. And last but not least, POV, you are the deep fryer at Raising Cane's.
Honestly, I think people are a bit overdramatic about this. Yeah, people are a bit overdramatic over a groundhog.
People, scientists have created a new fish. And the best part is that it was a fucking accident. You see, this is a sturtlefish, and it is found absolutely fucking nowhere in the wild. No, this genetic accident is a nature mod produced exclusively in a single facility in Szarvas, Hungary. You see, the sturtlefish is a cross between the Russian sturgeon and the American paddlefish. And in the wild, the only way that hookup's happening is Discord, because they live on opposite sides of the fucking planet.
Hello, princess.
But this ain't the wild. This is Hungary's Fishing and Aquaculture Institute, Haki, where a group of researchers is trying to figure out how the fuck to repopulate the critically endangered Russian sturgeon, using a neat trick called gynogenesis. But, what the fuck is that? Well, you see, usually, when sturgeons reproduce, the females lay a shitload of eggs in the water, which are then, fertilised by the males. This fertilisation requires two of the same species to tango, with 50% of the offspring DNA being contributed from the egg and 50% from the source. In gynogenesis, 100% of the offspring's DNA is contributed by the mother. Now, because sturgeons can't do this naturally, the researchers hatched a plan. They would take sperm from the far less endangered American paddlefish and microwave that shit with UV radiation, destroying the DNA it carries, but still allowing it to stimulate the egg into growing without the father's DNA, and thus, gynogenesis. But, there's a problem. The paddlefish was just a little too genetically similar to the sturgeon, and they did not leave the swimmers in the microwave long enough. So instead of a bunch of perfect little sturgeon babies, we got the sturtlefish, which is a literal genetic dead end. It is incapable of reproducing. I feel bad for it. It was an accident and it gets no bitches. Abysmal existence, RNG.
Let's go gambling! Aw, dang it.
Scientists have... This fish will choke you. Just not the way you think. See, this is a hagfish, found worldwide under the sea, and this thing has one of the most fucking disgusting defense mechanisms on the planet. You see, when I say choke, you probably think I mean they loop that pool noodle shaped body around your neck and squeeze. You are wrong. No, these guys are piss weak scavengers that average out to about the size of a Subway footlong, and despite having a fucking face hugger for a mouth, their main defense mechanism is busting. You see, as you can probably tell by looking at him, these bad boys are slimy. Really slimy. And when threatened, They use it as a f***ing weapon. Whenever something tries to eat them, they kick the slime production into overdrive, secreting a protein that instantly converts the surrounding ocean water into thick, sticky sludge in half a second. And I mean, you know, a load like that in half a second, incredibly impressive. Nothing to be embarrassed about at all. This slime then seeps into and clogs the gills of their predators, suffocating them to death. Then, having literally slimed their ops, they whip out an Uno reverse card and fucking eat them. This fish will choke you.
Okay, let's get back to where we were. Next one will be this one. It looks like an anteater.
If you dolphins get drunk. If you see this thing T-pose, run. Introducing the anteater, a goofy little creature native to Brazil, and to understand why the absolute stance on this bad boy is a threat to your health, you're going to have to understand a little about his lifestyle first. Now listen, I know this may come as a shock to you, but the anteater eats ants. And weighing in at 40 kilos and 1.8 meters in length, he needs to consume upwards of 40,000 ants per day. Now, in order to help him hit his bulking goals, the anteater has a mystery mouse tool stored inside that XL sniffer. A 60 centimeter long tongue, designed to snake its way down an ant colony's tunnel network, smash into their living room, and abduct the entire cast of Bug's life and convert them into a high-calorie meal. However, what that tongue do only goes so far, as an ant colony can extend up to 4 meters underground, and termites live in high-rises, which means our boy here is going to have to do a little excavation to get to the goods. But last I checked, an anteater can't go down to Bunnings and buy a shovel. So how does he dig? Oh, that's simple, with the combat knives he has for claws. Yeah, anteaters are permanently cosplaying Freddy Krueger, with a set of 4-inch claws, which, proving the effectiveness of a few inches, can crack through f***ing concrete. Now, these work great for digging, but they are also more than capable of flatlining you. When threatened, the anteater will rear up into a defensive T-pose. This is your sign, if you are smart, to turn around and fuck all the way off. If, however, you were, say, some dumbass trophy hunter who really felt the need to try and stab an animal for no reason other than ego, the anteater will swipe at you with those claws, which are at the perfect height to nail you in a thigh, slip through your flesh like butter, and sever your femoral artery, causing you to bleed out in 2 minutes while the anteater watches you go meet your ancestors. Can you imagine having to explain to your ancestors who felled woolly mammoths you got your shit packed up by the most unserious creature on the planet hitting a T-pose? If you see dolphins get drunk. But why? Well, you see, the dolphin is by far and away the smartest animal in the ocean. In fact, they're actually the second smartest thing on the planet, just behind you and me. This means they are smart enough to understand that the ideal way to spend your night is more plastered than Chad and Max on your average Cold Ones episode. Shut up! There is just one problem. Last I checked, there's no bottle-o in Bikini Bottom. So, how does a dolphin get fired for all? Simple. They abuse pufferfish. You see, due to the lack of underwater alcohol, dolphins need to find other ways to get their fix, which is where SpongeBob's driving instructor comes in. You see, pufferfish contain this really cool and totally not dangerous substance called tetrodotoxin. What is tetrodotoxin? You know, it's only one of the most potent natural neurotoxins on the fucking planet. This shit will freeze your heart and lungs in under an hour with a tiny dose, and it's the reason why cooking a pufferfish requires a dexterity check so you don't, hit the poison gland and get yourself deleted. Now, puffers carry this as a defense mechanism as poison accumulates in their organs and skin. Why is that important? Well, you see, I kinda lied. Dolphins don't get drunk. They get high on neurotoxin.
¿Quieres?
Pods of dolphins will bully pufferfish until they inflate, then partake in a literal puff-puff-pass. By lightly squeezing the puffer in their mouth, they receive a small dose of neurotoxin, which has a narcotic effect, allowing Flipper here to trip balls before passing the unhappy basketball onto the next submarine stoner. Flipper and friends saw the deadliest neurotoxin on the planet and said, "Fuck it, let me try some of that." Dolphins get drunk. Most snails aren't scary, except for this one. This one's Australian. Introducing the cone snail, an aquatic mollusk native to the land down under. And as seems to be the requirement when sharing your postcode with a kangaroo, you guessed it, it can quite easily cause your neck snap to be in a coffin. And the way it can achieve it is this bad boy right here. You see, despite most snails having a reputation for being slow goobers that get folded by a salt shaker, the cone snail is a highly effective ambush predator. And you may be wondering, how the fuck does a creature that moves slower than the GTA 6 development cycle hunt anything? Well, that's simple. It has a grappling hook. That's right, Gary's murderous little cousin here is a roadhog mate.
Hi there.
And he hunts by slowly but surely stalking up on his prey until he's just within range, and then bang! The cone snail does a quarter circle input, spitting out a tooth harpoon at 90 kilometers an hour. This harpoon then nails its prey, allowing them to reel it in like he's playing Scorpion. And in case that wasn't bad enough, as seems to be a requirement for spawning on Australian servers, it's venomous. That harpoon also injects its prey with a highly potent neurotoxin that instantly paralyzes it. This means it cannot put up a fight, as it is sucked into the snail's ginormous maw like a nightmarish version of Kirby. And, just in case you thought for once you might be safe, cone snail venom is potent enough to kill 700 people with one sting. Oh yeah, and there's no anti-venom, because it's not enough that it can kill me. No, I have to die knowing there is zero counterplay. Who balanced this Most snails, this shrimp can cause explosions.
My main goal is to blow up.
Introducing the mantis shrimp, native to the West Indo-Pacific Ocean and possibly the coolest crustacean under the sea, because this fluorescent armored sausage is actually a voracious, bloodthirsty predator rocking enough surveillance equipment to scare the CIA with a weapon powerful enough to surpass Metal Gear. See, the mantis shrimp is a highly effective predator, and they find and track their prey with easily the most advanced set of eyes on the planet. First off, each of these eye stalks can rotate independently like a periscope, giving them a full 360 degrees of vision. However, more importantly, they can see colours we can't. You see, the mantis shrimp's eyes contain a full 15 photoreceptor cones compared to our 3. Which is a fancy way of saying they can see in 16K HDR with ray tracing enabled at 500 render distance.
Oh my PC.
Now, not only is the visual clarity unmatched, they can also see into the infrared and ultraviolet light spectrums. And despite all of this, they still can't find who asked. What they can, however, find is their next meal. The mantis shrimp subsists on a diet of fish, worms, squidward, and, most importantly, Mr. Krabs. Now, crabs famously exist inside of a defensive shell. So, how does this polite little gentleman break into the shell? Simple. He throws hands. That's right, weighing in at only 90 grams and 38 centimeters in length, the mantis shrimp has a punch that produces 15,000 newtons of force. That is 176 newtons per gram. So if a human was capable of that same kind of force, a right hook from someone who weighs 80 kilo would be like getting hit in the face with 6 sticks of dynamite. Now, to produce that force, its claw needs to be moving at 83 kilometers an hour, which is so fast it creates a vacuum in the water called a cavitation bubble, which then immediately collapses at such a speed it creates a miniature explosion that flashbangs the target and reaches a temperature hotter than the surface of the sun. Mr. Krabs is getting f***ing disintegrated.
Money.
This shrimp... This is Australia's most common snake, and that's quite a problem, because it's also one of the world's deadliest. Introducing the eastern brown snake, native to quite literally every state in the land down under. And unluckily for us, this asshole has earned himself a silver medal in the Note Rope Olympics venom category, coming in second place for the most venomous snake in the world. It is worth noting that third and first place are unsurprisingly also both held by Australian snakes. Because God hates us. However, unlike first and third, the toxic middle child here is a far larger problem, because putting it lightly, he's a cunt. The eastern brown is one of the most territorial species of snake in the world, which is a scientific way of saying they operate on the US home defense philosophy. If you dare put a pinky toe onto this guy's property, he will bite your ass, injecting you with a hemotoxin that can send you to heaven via blood clot in under 30 minutes if left untreated. But hey, stay off his property and he'll leave you alone, right? Yeah, one problem. His property is your property.
Oh,
Get the fuck out of my room! I'm playing Minecraft!
oh God.
That's right, the eastern brown doesn't live out in the middle of nowhere like his slightly more deadly cousin. This fucker is so at home in the suburbs, he drives a f***ing Prius. You can find this burnt piece of spaghetti literally anywhere. Go to put your shoes on, he's turned them into a 2-bedroom home. Hop in the car to go to work. Yeah, unfortunately, that's his car now. Get to work on the job site. What do you know? He f***ing works here too. Try to take a shower after a long day at work. F*** off, he's moisturising. You can't even take a shit in the comfort of your own home without running the risk of the dunny being occupied. In fact, these bastards are so omnipresent that out of the 200 species of snake in the country, this ginormous asshole makes up 60% of snake bites. What a cunt. This adorable little octopus is also the world's deadliest. Introducing the blue-ringed octopus, a species of cephalopod native to Australia, and in a shock to precisely 0 people at this point, it's venomous. Because of course it's f***ing venomous. Why wouldn't it be venomous? That'd make my life way too f***ing easy. Now, to its credit, unlike most of the toxic bullshit in this hellscape I call home, they at least have the common decency to be coloured like a f***ing neon sign. However, it immediately loses this credit by being the octopus equivalent of a f***ing hobbit, coming in smaller than a 50-cent coin. And this is a problem, because it is the most venomous octopus in the world. That's right, this fluoro spaghetti ball is packed to the brim with neurotoxin, more specifically, tetrodotoxin. You know, the same shit that turns cooking a puff fish into a quick time event? Yeah, these little guys are packing it too. However, because it is Australian, the blue-ringed octopus is on violence timing and is the only animal in the world to use this as an offensive measure by way of a venomous bite. But what does the venom actually do? Well, imagine you're wading through the rock pools with the homies, and you accidentally disturb this little gentleman's residence. The blue ring, taking the American approach to home defense, suctions onto your leg and bites you. Best part, it's completely painless. So if you're distracted by how thick your mate's looking in those Speedos, you aren't going to feel shit. That is, until your face starts tingling like TV static. It's warm out here under the sun, but you weren't sweating like this 5 minutes ago, and now you got a headache. You start to feel sick, weak. You go to call out, but your voice comes out slurred like you just knocked back a bottle of vodka.
2 shots of vodka.
And then suddenly, your legs come out from under you, and you hit the beach. Fun fact about tetrodotoxin. It's a paralytic. Freezes up your muscles one by one, starting with your arms and legs, which is why you're kissing the sand. You know what else is a muscle? Your diaphragm, the muscle that controls your breathing. And turns those bad boys off too. And so, your chest stops rising and falling, and you suffocate to death right there on the beach. Now, you may be wondering, how come no one called an ambulance? That's easy. They didn't have time to. You went up to meet your ancestors in under 20 minutes. God ordered your ass with same-day shipping, and this little delivered. Employee of the month. This snake can take your arm off.
'Tis but a scratch. Scratch? Your arm's off.
Introducing the fer-de-lance, a species of pit viper native to South America and Mexico, with this particular nope rope having quite possibly one of the nastiest bites in the world. This is a fairly major problem because this little has the temperament of an eshay at a train station, being incredibly aggressive and extremely territorial.
I both of you give me your wallets and your shoes, bar, otherwise I'll cave your heads in right here, right now, bar.
In fact, this toxic garden hose is such an aggressive little within its range, it makes up an average of 50% of all snake bites. However, despite the huge number of attacks, it's only fatal in 6% of bites. So why is it such a problem? Just because you live the bite doesn't mean you'll want to. You see, when a fer-de-lance bites you, this massive viper sinks its huge inch-long fangs into your skin and injects you with 2 teaspoons of venom. You will at this point notice a little status effect bar appear on the bottom of your screen. Don't worry about that. That's a mystery mouse tool that'll hurt us later. Upon being bitten, your blood pressure immediately crashes lower than the stock market, and you start to feel very ill. The bite wound feels like you've been shot in the leg, you start sweating like someone's looking through your browser history, and then you start puking your guts up. Shortly followed by your collapse into the ground in agony. Now, fer-de-lance venom is hemorrhagic, so while you're having a frat boy moment on the ground, the venom is breaking down the walls of your blood vessels, causing massive internal bleeding. At the same time, it's seeping into your bloodstream, causing it to thicken and start throwing clots. But hey, you're in luck. You were with a buddy when you got bitten. They rush you to the hospital, and because it's such a common snake bite, they have the anti-venom on hand and administer it immediately, counteracting the venom's effects. There is just one problem. The mystery mouse tool is still there, because anti-venom is not necromancy. So, all the dead tissue around the bite caused by the blood clots and internal bleeding, yeah, still very dead. In fact, it's so dead that it is rotting on your still alive body in a process called necrosis. I can't show you a photo of necrosis because it's genuinely disgusting, but to put it in a term you can understand, the snake applies scarlet rot. Now, so long as that rot's still attached to you, it's gonna spread. So, there's only one way to stop it. Cut it off. This is the deadliest snake in the world. Introducing the inland taipan, and being the deadliest venom noodle in the world, I will give you exactly one guess as to where it's found.
Australia.
It's Australia, of course it's fucking Australia. Be so serious here. Where the else did you think you were going to find it? Canada? More specifically, as the name suggests, the taipan is found inland in the outback. Luckily, extremely far from civilization, because this homicidal hospital hose is the definition of size doesn't matter. Because despite having extremely small fangs for a venomous snake, coming in at only 6.2 millimeters, the taipan is here to show you that you absolutely can feel less than an inch, because those fangs contain the statistically deadliest snake venom on the fucking planet. Yeah, taipan venom is a pina colada of pain, containing, but not limited to, hemotoxins to cause blood clots, myotoxins for paralysis and necrosis, nephrotoxins to shut down your kidneys, and 3 different kinds of neurotoxin. Needless to say, if it bites you, you will get a headache, vomit up the entire contents of your stomach, collapse to the ground in agonizing pain, and then your heart and lungs will stop, sending you to meet God in under 15 minutes. And that venom is so fucking potent that one bite contains enough toxin to do that to 100 people. But the funniest part of this snake's venom is that in the wild, they only hunt rats and f***ing mice. The deadliest venom on the planet, and they are using it to pack up Remy the rat. It's like hunting a rabbit with a f***ing AWP.
That's the cutest f***ing thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Counter-terrorists win.
This is the...
I'm created with...
Komodo dragons are horror villains. I mean, seriously, this industrial-sized lizard is easily one of the biggest assholes in the animal kingdom when it comes to hunting methods, packing a PhD in suffering and a double degree in biological warfare purely because they cannot be expending effort to hunt. You see, Godzilla's little cousin here is the largest lizard in the world, weighing up to 166 kilos and being a full 3.13 meters in length, which means, for the short kings in my audience, if you're brave enough, bang a motor transport right there. Now, being the reptile equivalent of a Cadillac Escalade means that the Komodo dragon needs to consume a lot of calories to keep that bulk going. However, rather than using that bulk to proactively chase down and body slam its prey, they can take down prey 3 times their size, because as if being a reptilian tank was not enough, they are also venomous. And this isn't just your run-of-the-mill snake venom that, you know, gives you a nice quick 15-minute death. No. A Komodo hunt starts with it running up to its prey and giving it a nice big chomp on the leg, injecting it with hemorrhagic venom. After biting, the Komodo dragon off and just sits there watching. The confused and bewildered animal runs off into the forest, leaking blood, allowing that Komodo dragon to track it like a DoorDash order. A week goes by, and that bite wound isn't closing because hemorrhagic venom prevents blood clots. So, the animal is still slowly bleeding out, and the Komodo is still watching. More time passes. That bite wound gets infected because Komodos are carrion feeders, meaning that the inside of their mouth is full of enough rotting flesh and bacteria to give Asmongold a run for his money. The infection begins to drain the animal's strength, and the Komodo is still watching. Another week passes. The infection has spread, and the flesh has begun to rot. And you best believe that ass lizard is still there watching like he's waiting for his meal to heat up in the microwave. Once the bleeding, disease-ridden animal becomes too exhausted to move on its own and collapses, the Komodo strolls over and eats it alive, shredding it into chunks if it's larger, or if it's small enough, swallowing it whole as it screams on the way down. Even for me, man, that's fucked. Komodo dragons are... A gorilla can't beat 100 men in a fight. He gets jumped. But that begs the question, which animal does win? And the answer, stepping into the ring at 5 meters long and weighing in at a genuinely frightening 4,500 kilos, I present to you the hippopotamus.
Oh, that picture looks cute.
Yeah, look, a hippo causing a 100 long line at the gates of heaven after a fight is honestly pretty plausible. You see, despite the fantastic PR work Moodang has done for the hippopotamus community, doesn't change the fact that Moto here is a sentient Ford F-150, the temperament of a fucking serial killer who can win this fight for one very specific reason. You can't fucking hurt it. Yeah! You say the hippopotamus is possibly the tankiest land animal on the fucking planet, packing an unbelievably thick 2-inch hide. Now look, we all know 2 inches is a lot, especially in the sheets, but in the streets of the African savannah, this makes them practically Don't believe me? Here is a hippopotamus walking away from 10 lions trying to convert it into a family meal. Notice how the hippopotamus does not give a single fuck. If Mufasa and his extended family can't hurt it, neither can you. However, don't let the fact that it's walking away fool you here. The hippopotamus is not a peaceful animal. They are, in fact, violent, psychopathic, 4.5-ton thundercats that can and will bite you in half. A hippo's jaw produces 2,000 psi of pure crushing force. So if he catches your ass, you are the watermelon. And as if the hydraulic press wasn't bad enough, don't forget they've got 2 20-inch fangs in that mouth that'll put a hole in you big enough to stick your f***ing arm through. But honestly, the bite doesn't even f***ing matter. It weighs 4.5 tons and can run at 30k an hour. Getting hit by a charging hippo is like getting hit by a f***ing bus. There is no way we are winning a fight against something that could probably take out 10 people just by rolling over. In summary, don't f*** with the hungry hippo. A gorilla can't beat. Who wins? 100 men or 1 gorilla? Well, to get your answer, we're going to have to look at our fighters for the most anticipated cage match of 2025. And in the red corner, standing at an impressive 6 feet tall and weighing a ridiculous 220 kilos, we have one singular silverback gorilla. Stepping into the ring to settle the score against humanity for what we did to Harambe, this fighter is bringing some impressive physical strength, capable of lifting up to 800 kilos of weight, meaning that if it gets its hands on you, a gorilla is more than capable of picking you up and doing you the same way that Hulk did Loki. Now, on top of being stronger than Eddie Hall, they also have an unreal reach advantage with a 2.6 meter wingspan, which is a fairly major problem because a right hook from a gorilla produces 2,700 pounds of force. To put that into perspective, the human skull shatters at 1,400. So if Winston hits you with a haymaker, your head is going to pop like a watermelon. And with the cage fight following the Mortal Kombat rule set, we can also factor in the gorilla's bite, because despite being a pretty gentle herbivore in the wild, they have one of the highest bite forces on the planet at 1,300 psi. That is 100 psi more than a polar bear. And now, with our fighter statistics out of the way, let's get down to business. Can our gorilla win a fight against the 100 average men in the blue corner? Place your bets. Let's see who comes out on top. Yeah, look, I'm going to keep it real with you. Even with those stats, Winston here is getting bodied. I'm sorry, he's going back to the spawn room. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200 directly to hanging out with Harambe in heaven. 100 people, it's just too fucking many. He's getting jumped. However, not to say he's not going to take a few with him. My guess is one guy runs up and gets swatted across the cage like a toddler, shatters his ribs against the bars. Second guy gets grabbed by the leg and given the Hulk treatment. About 6 other guys cop swings to the head and die instantly from broken necks. One dumbass is probably going to try to hit him off the top rope and get done the same way that Omni-Man did Nightwing. But at that point, the crowd probably jumps in and realises that there are still about 90 of them and it's over. Not that the fight even needs to happen, but it wouldn't be the first time we lost a gorilla to human stupidity. Who wins? This wasp is...
Okay, that's as much time as we have today. So, next stream we're going back to Tree of Wishes and we're going to start building Zones 3 Atmosphere and Lore Foundation. And trust me, this is where everything changes. Zone 1 was the wish, Zone 2 was the consequence, Zone 3 is the truth. I'll see you next stream.